Welcome, survivors. I am Tactical Lance, your friendly neighborhood survivor, and today I want to talk to you about something I've been running into a lot lately, especially as a melee fighter ever since 1.13, and that is wound infection. What causes it, how to cure it, and some other tips and tricks along the way. Just a side note, if you like the content, be sure to hit subscribe down below, toss us a like. It's free for you, and it helps us grow the channel. So let's just dive into this. First off, what is wound infection? How's it happen? Wound infection in DayZ is still fairly new for us. Again, that cycled in 1.13. It's called a couple different things. Wound infection is the proper name. In different circles, though, on some different servers we run, we've heard it called everything from blood infection, zombie disease, Z scratch fever, or my favorite, oh my god, why is my character going, ugh? Drop a comment down below. Let me know if you've heard it called something different. I'm always interested in hearing what other people come up with and call things. So digging into this, wound infection happens when you get cut and you bandage yourself with dirty or not sterile rags or bandages, or if you just let a cut heal on its own. When we're talking about the disinfected state of those items, just so you know, pristine, worn, damaged, badly damaged, those do not change the likelihood that you will get infected when you bandage up with those. What does happen, though, is if those bandages change status, so if they change from pristine to worn, if they change from damaged to badly damaged, that can cause those bandages to lose their disinfected nature. You can very easily check to see if a bandage or rag is disinfected when you open your item menu and you're holding those rags in your hand. It'll clearly say across the top whether or not that's disinfected. It'll say disinfected if it is. Aside from that, you always want to make sure whenever you're going to bandage yourself up, I know you get cut, you want to get it patched so you're not playing in mono color, but you always want to open up your inventory, take a look, make sure that they do say that they are disinfected. Otherwise, there's a good shot you'll get hit with that wound infection. From what I've seen with dirty bandages, dirty rags, it's about a 50-50 shot. So always check before you use, just to make sure. So if the bandages you use are not sterile, there is a 50-50, kind of a rough guess there, shot of developing that wound infection. An exception to this that I have seen is the sewing kits. Every server that I played on, community or official, it does not give me the option to disinfect a sewing kit. And when I have used sewing kits as a method to patch myself up, I've followed that 50-50 rule on developing wound infection shortly thereafter. If you let a cut heal on its own, which will happen after 5 minutes of being cut, that cut will heal on its own. There's a 100% guarantee that you will develop wound infection from that. Something interesting I did learn in the process of making this video is that wound infection is not at all contagious. So you with wound infection can get cut while you have wound infection, bandage yourself up, and then another player can bandage themselves with that same roll. They will not catch it. You can cut yourself with the same knife, cut another player with the same knife, will not again transfer that wound infection. That is something that when you develop it is specific to that character and does not communicate to one another. And I'm sure I know what you're thinking at this point. How do I know if I have this? Well, it's fairly easy. This is probably the reason why you're here, which is your character is just randomly going ugh and the screen blurs. It's a super easy way to diagnose this disease. Is probably the easiest out there. When you are stricken by wound infection, that random ugh and screen blur will happen. You'll have the little disease icon down in the bottom right hand corner, and to me it's almost like when the screen motion does the sound and does the blur. It's almost like you jump off of something that's just a little bit too high, so you're taking that torpor damage. With wound infection, this is a little bit different of a disease than what we see with other DayZ sicknesses. Colds, for instance, don't have this two-stage setup that wound infection does. Wound infection has two stages. The number one does not impact your health. So stage one, your character does the screen blur, animation, and in this stage of the disease, you don't lose health. In stage one, wound infection, though, you do take a huge hit to your stamina. Specifically, your stamina regeneration drops by about 50% in speed. At this stage, you got two cures, though. So it's a lot easier when you're dealing with this stage of wound infection. You have two cures. You use your trusty tetracycline. That will help get rid of it. Usually, from what I've seen, 3 to 4 pills in stage 1 will take care of a wound infection. Additionally, if you have iodine tincture available, you can hold the iodine tincture in your hand just like you're going to wash your hands with a water bottle. You use the iodine tincture the same way. It'll disinfect the wounds. It'll even pop up and say disinfect wounds. After 15 minutes, though, after 15 minutes of infection, you'll transition into stage 2 of the disease. Stage 2 is far more impactful for your character than stage 1. The screen blur and the actually does impact your health. If you want to get into exact numbers is you lose about 0.75 health every 13 seconds for all of those who are wanting, whole numbers, so you're not having to do the math. That's roughly 10 health every 4 minutes of gameplay in Stage 2. Similar to Stage 1, you have considerably lower stamina regen, but you also deal with 10 times water consumption in Stage 2. As Stage 2 also sets in a fever for your character, and you'll be able to easily distinguish Stage 1 from Stage 2. Stage 1 does not have a fever. Stage 2 is when that fever sets in. I have noticed with Stage 2 of the disease, you do develop a tremble or almost like a tick in your hands. From what I've seen, though, it's not nearly as pronounced as the tick that happens with Kuru. It does affect your ability to aim precisely, so it makes it very problematic if you're trying to take a precise shot downrange. Stage 2 of wound infection is guaranteed to be fatal for your survivor within 40 minutes without treatment. That's a big blurb, I know. 40 minutes from the time you hit Stage 2 and it starts impacting your health, you are going to die unless you get treatment. Treatment in Stage 2, there is only one effective cure, and that would be tetracycline. About 4 of the tetracycline tablets will cure you over the span of about 20 minutes or so. Each tablet lasts for about 5 minutes in your system. Once you hit Stage 2, disinfecting the wound will no longer be an option for you to cure the infection. So if you're carrying around that iodine at the point in time you hit Stage 2 and you start to develop that fever, you might as well put it back in your bag, forget this. It's not going to do you any good. So I think I've covered everything so far and what to do if you get wound infection, how to spot it, the complete breakdown, if you will, of wound infection, Z-scratch fever, or oh my god, why is my screen doing this, as I like to complain. If you can, let me know your thoughts below. Do you think I missed anything in this? Did I go in depth enough, not in depth enough? Does pineapple actually belong on pizza? Keep surviving, and we will see you next time.